Howdy folks, welcome back. I'm going to try to finish this police bike series out with a final video.
I am done!
It'll be a short video. I'm going to try to ride it for you, see how I feel when I get on the bike, and we'll just take it up and down the road. I'll set the camera up out there so you can kind of get some views of it going up and down a couple of times. And we'll take it from there. First thing I want to do is just kind of do a walk around on it and show you the status of it, or the level of achievement or lack thereof of completedness, I guess. And then we'll get into that part. So let's go ahead and get right to it. I've been dealing with details on this, and that's the stuff you probably haven't seen yet, which is what I wanted to highlight in this final video. First thing is kind of neat. I didn't realize this was even in one of the tank bags, but it's the original Kawasaki key with 321 stamped into it, which jives with the 321 on the back of the bike. So whatever agency dubbed it or donned that particular number, attached it to this bike, that's the original key. So that's pretty cool. The other thing is I don't remember if I've shown this or not, to be honest with you. In the saddlebag was a front piece, which you see here, like a trim piece, brand new in the package. All right. And this obviously trims this all out, which wasn't on there before. You may have noticed it from other videos. So when I originally was working on this for the customer, I really wanted to put that on, but the trouble is these mounts for the signals were interfering with that, and especially because this whole front end here was shoved over. I'm talking about the headlight assembly, that is, was shoved over that way, probably from, you know, this crash thing, alleged stump bike thing. Or it may have just happened in the course of it, you know, being used as a police bike, which I think that's the case. But anyway, maybe we'll discuss that another time. So I completely redid all these brackets. I took these brackets off and I welded a piece in so you could capture both of these holes here, and aligned everything up. Redid some wiring because I needed to extend the signal wires because they weren't long enough, and ultimately got this put in. I had to machine some off of the back of the what do you call it? The splitter, the 1-into-2 splitter goes from the, you know, the main brake line from the master cylinder down to 2, because it stuck out too far. I don't think it's the right one. I think somebody put a different one on because I looked in the parts fiche and it looked different. So I just put it in the mill and milled off the standoffs where the bolts go through, and got that to sit exactly right. Got all this bolted up. So I think it looks pretty good. It came out real nice. So again, that's something I don't think I've shown before because of all the problems I've had. But I've been, you know, I've been kind of dabbling away at this, kind of, you know, a little bit here and there, taking little bites, you know, to try to get it done, which is what I consider it right now, is to be completely done. So the other thing that's kind of cool is, I don't know if I ever explained the situation with the radio box or this radio box, I should say, the speaker and microphone setup, and the radio box on the back where the Motorola two-way guts would have originally gone. So I know I've talked about it before. I did score a key for this, and I'll pull the key out, we'll open it up, and I'll show you how that works. It's kind of neat the way the previous owner set this up for display purposes, but I took it a step further. By the way, if anybody out there is working on a radio box from an old Motorola radio, it doesn't matter if it's one of these or if it's the radio, I can't remember exactly what it's called, the bases, I guess, where the radio snaps in that has a key lock. Pretty much almost all these are 2135 keys. See that there? And I have to give a shout out to my buddy Bill, who's a retired guy from the Manatee County, Florida radio shop. And I worked with him extensively when I was on the fire department to work on our radios, and became good friends. He's a motorcyclist as well. And I reached out to him and he said, oh yeah, that's a 2135 key. So I don't know if I mentioned that before, but the key definitely works. And we'll go ahead and open this up. I'll show you what I mean. Now, the previous owner had installed this amplifier. There was a scanner sitting in here too, an old Uniden scanner. I've removed it because I powered it up and it doesn't work. The display is completely dead. So I took the little screws out of it, put it in my tiny screw drawer. That doesn't belong in here. And I'm scrapping that, e-scrapping that, because it just doesn't work. And the date of manufacture is 1996, so Go figure. This little amp does work. So what he did was, he took the input of the amplifier, which is this red wire right here. This is a 3.5 mil or 1/8 inch standard audio input, male on each end. And he took it, and this provides signal into this amp. This is the signal out on one channel. These wires go up through here and go to this speaker. Now his, what he used it for was, when he brought this thing to like motorcycle shows or car shows or whatever, he would take his iPad and he put his iPad in his side bag. And it must have been an older iPad with a, you know, a 3.5 millimeter or 1/8 inch plug on it, like the old iPhones had. And he'd plug that in and he'd stream, I guess through Wi-Fi, the Broadcastify channel or the source from California Highway Patrol. So it was kind of neat. He'd sit there and it would squawk, you know, CHP, you know, radio traffic in real time. So I always thought that was a great idea, something I would have definitely done. So I wanted to make this a little bit better and a little bit more up to date. So I cleaned up the wiring and so forth, but I added this, which is just a Bluetooth receiver. Just a standard Amazonian Bluetooth receiver. It's chargeable with a USB, and it has a 1/8 inch plug on it for the output. And I just made this little holder for it here, if I can get it back in. And so what you do is you take this and you just plug it in, and then you turn it on, and you can link it, you know, Bluetooth it, or I should say pair it. My brain is not 100%, I'm sorry guys. You pair it to your phone, and then you stream whatever you want to stream, and then it'll come out in the speaker. So I unfortunately have to use my phone to record, so I'm going to use something else to record a short clip of this working, and I think you'll find it pretty cool. So that'll be the next clip. All right, guys, I'm on my wife's old iPad, and it pretty much sucks, so it's the best video I can do, though. I have turned on the Bluetooth receiver, and I plugged in the amplifier, because otherwise it has a parasitic draw of about 2 volts. I don't know why, but you just leave it unplugged and it's fine. And of course this is ready to pass through the signal from this, receiving from the smartphone, which is right here. So we'll go to this feed, which is Sheriff, Fire, and Cal Fire and CHP. And then we come up here and we click the switch to the on position, which enables the speaker, which also enables this, which is kind of cool when you do the push to talk. So right now we have feed coming through, so when it comes over, you're going to be able to hear something from this stream. Alright, so let's see what happens.
1207 Mary. Party's still standing by. They're advising the vehicle's not movable. I started 1185 that way. You have Allison's around with a flatbed 20 or less.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. I thought it was pretty neat the way he had it set up, and like I said, if you have that on and you press this, you get that red light. So we'll go ahead and turn that off, pull the plug, and we'll turn this guy off as well. Yeah, so that's pretty neat the way he's got this set up, and I wanted to kind of keep the same setup. You know, if we had a scanner in here, we could certainly use it, but it would only get local broadcast. So this way you can stream CHP from across the country, and then have live audio coming in if you were going to be displaying this somewhere, which is kind of neat. Now, I wouldn't do it too long because this battery is kind of marginal, but you know, if you replace the battery, somebody replaces the battery, whoever buys this thing, then I think they'd be in a better position to do that for a little longer than what I've demonstrated for you. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. I went ahead and replaced the clutch pack on this. Well, most of it. I replaced all the friction material and 4 of the steels. There's 9 friction and 8 steels. Because, you know, when this came in for customer work, it had a clutch dragging issue, and the previous owner said that every time he used it, he had to readjust the clutch. And I found that to be quite odd. Some of you viewers in the earlier videos, when I mentioned that, had said that these J motors have a history of the main hub, the clutch hub nut coming loose, and that would give some lateral thrust, which would cause that. That is not the case, especially since I took this all apart and checked it, and then put it all back together and put, like I said, 9 new frictions and 4 new steels. 4 of the steels were blue. I mean, just completely blue. And the clutch material was shot. And I think what it was doing, it was just completely crumbling in there. It was filling up the little spaces in the between in the friction disc, that is, where the oil is. There's like these little swirly grooves that go around. If I can find one, I'll show you. But the thing is, I think that's what was happening. But so I replaced all that. It seems to be rectified or rectum fried now. And so that's done. So that's another thing that I put money into on this, and time and effort, is to get the clutch straightened out. The astute among you will realize that I've replaced the handlebars too with a pair of used ones. Came out of Clearwater, I think it was, here in Florida, St. Petersburg. Super fast shipping. The seller was excellent. And so I got these in like a day. And they are P20 or P19, 2000 or 2001 or something like that bars. And they fit perfect. But the reason why I did that was the left side one was bent up a little bit and had that mark on it from alleged quote-unquote stunt bike, air quotes, or whatever. Maybe it happened during the course of it being a police bike. I don't know, which again, I think that's the case. And there was a big mark there, was bent somewhat. So we went ahead and put a new set of bars on. And I think I mentioned to you, and again, the astute viewers will remember that there was these two little Band-Aids here that the previous owner had put over these little dents because the steering stops had been modified. You can kind of see them up in there. If I kind of zoom up, you get an idea. See that little edge? The steering stops were bent up in the air. And what I did was I fixed that. I bent those back down, so now it'll actually stop lock to lock and won't hit the tank. I considered that to be a safety issue. And I've already gone over all the stuff in previous videos about why I made the changes to that, because you can't verify any use of this bike in any type of a movie or television production. So I won't, beat that dead horse. But that is essentially the reason why I did that. I'm not going to sell something that I consider unsafe. So I consider that a safety issue. Somebody's driving this thing and it hits the tank and they get shocked, or, it kind of surprised them rather. And then, or it pinches their hand or something and might lose control. You never know. So I'm trying to make this thing as factory as possible. The factory wanted steering stops, so now it has the steering stops back in. And bending them back down, had a little crack form on one side, so I laid a bead of weld in on the top, and that solved that. So that's nice and strong, and it's all done. Okay, I'm going to put you in the stand, and we'll do a cold start and see how it runs. I think you'll be, I don't want to say impressed, but I think you'll be surprised would be a good word for it. We'll put you up here so you can see. I'm just going to turn the key on, pull the clutch in, no choke. This thing is not warm at all. Yeah, not too shabby. I mean, she starts right up. In fact, it starts better cold than it does hot, which is kind of weird. But yeah, no enricher, no nothing. Fires right up, goes right into an idle. So I think we got the jetting pretty much squared away finally. Yeah, you know that story already. I'm not going to go into that one either. So, all right, let me figure out a way to set up a camera on this, and we'll see if we can go up and down the road, take it for a quick shake, and then we'll close the video out. At least that closes this entire police bike build series out too, which is a good thing, because this is getting old. All right, that's it on this one, meaning video, and this other one, meaning the job, the project. It's done. I'm not gonna do any more on it. Runs good enough. You know, it's an old bike. It's pretty beat up. I can definitely hear a little, some engine noise now that I'm running around a little bit, and you know, maybe even a little bottom end. But you know, it's sloppy because it's a little wore out. But you know, like I said, we weren't going to put a whole lot of money into this thing. But it runs good. It runs real well. It shifts good, drives good, brakes good. I got on it a little bit and did a little hooligan up and down the road here. Went around the block once. Unfortunately, I just can't do a whole lot more on it because it ain't registered. And with my medical issues, I really don't want to go too far on two wheels anyway. I may not even be able to ride two wheels in the future. I'm not really sure yet. This was a little bit of a challenge to do this, but since I'm just running up and down the road here, I figured it'd be okay to try. So anyway, yeah, I'm not going to bore you with my medical stuff, but yeah, so that's going to be it. I got some other stuff I'm working on with the Z1R, dealing with more problems. I don't know why you guys like those bikes so much. Try working on one for a while. Yeah, you're liking it will end pretty quick because they're a pain in the ass. But this ain't. She's been behaving pretty good. So if I can't get a hold of the previous owner to offer it to him first, and he doesn't respond either affirmatively or negatively, then she's going up on the block. I already have a sales video generated and rendered, I should say, or what is it called? Encoded, what Premiere Pro calls it. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. And so that's ready to go. So look for it out there if you want to buy it. Otherwise, reach out to me and I'll put you on the list. The list is like growing. 0. Thanks for watching and catch you on the next video.